This conference will now be recorded.
Are you gonna sue me? Lawyers on the way right now. Well, that's what he was telling me.
I know.
To go to the
That is so
bathroom.
crazy. Yeah. I can't imagine.
My phone, I'll show you a picture of me afterwards.
Class, all right, class, can we have your attention?
We're having a very important conversation.
All right, we're gonna call the order of the Monterey Select Board,
Schools.
November 18th at 6:01 PM. We've got all,
Mr. Ken.
we've got all members of the board present here in town hall. First order of business is, to touch base with the Renewable Energy Working Group. So thanks, Peter, for joining us. And you're gonna give us an update.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I wanted to speak about energy issues tonight was because for a few days there, we had something going with the South County connector about possibly having an opportunity to use green community designation funds to buy an electric vehicle and a charging station, or make some kind of investment in South County connector. This was because Tate Coleman, who originated South County connector when he was still a student at Simon's Rock years ago. So it's his baby, has come back after going to Wyoming to do the same rural transportation thing there to manage South County connector, because everybody who was in that position after he left couldn't do the job. And he had a grant application that was due on the 21st of November that would have been part of this EV project. Then he decided after a few days here that the time window was too short. He wasn't going to apply for that grant. So that was my original reason for wanting to report to the select board, get your opinion, all that kind of stuff. But I'm treating it as a fire drill. We're going to face these issues sooner or later. I think in my mind, it's a similar situation to emergency services. No individual town, Sandusville, Otis, New Marlboro, Monterey, is really in a position to efficiently handle rural public transportation. I think, in my opinion, we have to get used to working with other towns, just the way we've gotten used to working with other towns in emergency services. So the Renewable Energy Working Group is trying to brainstorm, how can we use these funds? And I don't know all the answers about how DOER with its regional partner, planning commission, I forget the acronym, BRPC. BRPC is our point person. We have Sherdo Fernandez-Aubert is our point person at BRPC to work on DOER green communities stuff. We have almost all our ducks in a row to be a green community, and this has been true for years, but ownership of the fire company and the property on which it sits was always an issue because DOER, prioritized energy conservation. It's not clear to me, but I think there may be a shift in DOER policy, and we might get credit for substituting clean energy such as solar electricity for fossil fuel use. So that piece of it is not completely clear to me right now, but the things that the energy group is thinking about are EV charging station, And should the firehouse ownership change hands and it becomes a municipal building, would the town be open to panels on the roof and substituting the oil burner for an electric boiler and maybe doing the whole system with solar generated electricity? Another issue is, do we want battery storage for that? So those are the things that are on our mind that we want to know will, when and if we get green community designation, will the funds that result from that, can they be spent on that kind of project? I do know that under the terms of the community shared solar array that we've been working on for a couple of years now on the closed landfill, stipulated that I think it's 50% of the electricity generated has to be used for, by the community, whatever that means. However, the definition of community is not limited to the Monterey municipality or the residents of Monterey. It can go beyond town bounds. So my thinking is maybe that facet of DOR policy could apply to a regional contribution, a Monterey contribution to a regional public transportation service. That's what's on our mind. Just to fill you in on what's going on lately with the landfill project, closed landfill project. It is when our consultant, who's terrific, really well-informed and knowledgeable, when she starts talking about that project, I'm in the weeds within 60 seconds because there's so much fluidity to the federal situation that every solar developer doesn't know what's happening. And for a large scale array, which the closed landfill array is not, but our tandem project with Gould Farm makes it a much larger array and therefore much more viable financially for HESP, HESP, the solar developer, that if the developer has a project that involves two entities, Town of Monterey and Gould Farm, that are close together, and we pass that exception to the setback so that those two projects could not be separated by a buffer zone. The scale of the way our consultant speaks of it is the tail is wagging the dog. Without Gould Farm, our closed landfill project is probably not going to fly. We only had one proposal in response to our offering, forget what you call it,
Our bid, the RFP that we did, or the bid, yeah.
And maybe we would not have had one if it was just the closed landfill. As it stands now, the 2025 SMART program rules expire on the first of the year, and they change for 2026. And the change has to do with scale and what proportion of the total smart program kilowatt hours the developer is allowed to have come under the smart program, if that makes any sense. Probably it doesn't. I really don't understand it. We're totally dependent on the consultant at this point. But I do know that there is no chance, no matter how fast the developer moves, of getting the closed landfill project approved by DEP as a post-closure use allowed by DEP in 2025. So we're already, because they have something like 96 days after a developer has an agreement for interconnection with National Grid. So that ain't gonna happen by the end of the year, and the 96 days doesn't happen until 2026. And the window for applying for SMART program in 2026 expires in June. So everything is like click, 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 it's gonna happen. And now it's for sure gonna happen in 2026, not 2025, under the new provisions of the SMART program. And if a developer has 5%, has spent 5% of the total cost of the project by June of 2026, then they have 4 years to complete the project. So all this doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just means that we're entirely dependent on the developer now to make it happen within an efficient, cost-efficient timeframe. The developer is telling us that they have an interconnection conversation, agreement. We don't know. We haven't seen paper with National Grid. That has to happen before we can tell DEP, this is what we're gonna do. There's an interconnection plan, there's a plan for the solar array, blah, blah, blah. All of that is dependent on how the developer is able to work with National Grid in their ARI, whatever that means. It's basically a pilot program for this particular substation, which according to National Grid needs a $50 million upgrade. No developer's gonna be able to foot that bill. So National Grid has a pilot program that allows increased solar generation in this substation, which is near saturated or saturated, as long as they agree to not sell some of their power under certain conditions of demand and supply. Best I can do. That's where we're at. We're waiting to hear from, Gould Farm has their own consultant. He is well acquainted with our consultant. They work together, although obviously our consultant represents the town of Monterey and their consultant represents Gould Farm, but they have a common interest. So, the lines of communication are good, but HESP is, the developer is the entity along with National Grid, along with DOER, along with the federal government that really has skin in this game and is trying to figure out where their best interest lies.
At the end of the day, from all of that, would you rate that, how likely is this to go forward? Do you have any sense of that?
I called the consultant the other day saying, for the first time, I don't think this project's gonna come to completion. And she went directly into the weeds and said, described in real terms what I've just tried to outline for you. She is saying basically, depends on the developer. If the developer really wants to do this and is aggressive in meeting all the deadlines, it can happen, but everything is unpredictable.
Gotcha. So you don't
So-
know because it's not possible to know at this point.
So I was also asking our consultant, I don't, probably, and I haven't asked Roger, but maybe you can help with this, not tonight, right now, but I don't know how much money we have left in our 15,000 ARP funds. And my question for Beth, our consultant, was, maybe we should be spending our time and energy and funds on figuring out what we can do with the green community designation. Maybe, we just let this project that we've been working on for a couple of years now float, see what happens, and focus on green communities. I don't know. That's what we're working on now. We have a new member, Martin Bronk, and he's our point person to be in touch with Sherdo Fernandez Aubert at DRPC to make sure we complete our application as soon as possible. But it's crazy how these things go. I was told in May, DOER funds for green community application help through BRPC. They're right around the corner. And then in September, they were still right around that same corner. And now maybe they're in place, but I can't say definitely that that money is sitting there at BRPC to be dispersed in order to pay for Sherdo to walk us through what we need to do on our Green Communities application to complete it and submit it and get our designation and get the funds that go with it. The key piece of the Green Community application that's not complete, and has been incomplete for years, is what is our 5-year, 20% energy reduction plan? So
And that's as
we're working
that's
on
as a
it.
government,
Key-
not as a
key
town.
to
You would have to be the
completing
town
that
government,
plan.
you would have to do it, or the whole
I'm
town.
sorry.
The reduction is the Monterey town facilities or the entire town of Monterey?
Municipal owned energy use. It covers electricity, it covers fuel for vehicles, which, an EV that is town owned could contribute to that, and fuel for heating buildings. And if the town of Monterey owns the firehouse, that's a place where we could possibly, you don't, but relations between firehouse and fire company and the town of Monterey have changed in the last year and a half.
Even so, it would, as I understand it, it would require a new roof on the pavilion, which would be a lot of money,
A new roof on the pavilion,
or at least
the
reinforce.
roof on the firehouse itself.
For the firehouse itself, you're talking, not the pavilion.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, it's just a pinball machine of moving parts.
It really is.
The next step for Martin to be able to fill out a 5-year, 20% reduction energy plan is to give him access to the Monterey Municipal Energy Inventory. Something that the state has under DOER that tells what our energy use is historically in the town. So we need that baseline to be able to say, this is what we're gonna do to reduce our energy use by 20% over 5 years. I have access to it, but Martin doesn't.
You have access to it?
I'm up to my eyeballs, I can't do that. Martin's happy to do it, he's great, I'm thrilled to have him on, be part of the group, but he needs his own individual access to the MEI. But that, you know, that's a small piece, we can put that together.
Roger, do you know how many ARPA funds are left?
According to this, there's one invoice that's not part of that, that just got submitted for Beacon.
Oh, that's just an invoice from Beacon, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a monthly thing.
but in ARPA right now, it says there's
Oh, I see,
$2,451.25
left.
left, but then you subtract that invoice, was like $800 or $600, something like that.
So a couple grand out of 15. It's not, we're not in great shape right now for a whole raft of reasons.
So for the green communities designation, is that BRPC preparing an application?
The RPC understands what DOER requires in the application. So we need their help to make sure that the application is, you know, what meets the requirements. But we have virtually all the pieces in place. We have stretch code, we have zoning that stipulates municipal, a site for municipal solar field. You know, we have the fact that we changed our zoning with an eye to making an array on the closed landfill. I was told years ago that energy use at the firehouse, because it's not a municipal property, is an obstacle to reducing by 20%. You know, we have a small building here, well insulated, we have a brand new library. You know, we're doing okay for energy use. It's hard to reduce it by 20%. So we have to, you know, think about how we're gonna do that.
No, Peter, we have our last year this time when I did invoicing, we were supplementing our electricity for the power, buying the power from solar. So this building, the library, I can't remember at the transfer station, we're solar now because they assign, basically and it's hard to figure out the contract because I'm nowhere with the people, but there's solar fields in the state that we're saying X amount of electricity will pay for that. It covers these different buildings.
That's part of the aggregation thing.
Yeah. So it's hard, you can't say, you know, you already, if you look at it, if that was electricity, I suspect, you know, we'd be closer to 20% if we're doing conventional electricity, but we're buying it from the solar fields in the state.
I don't know if that's the aggregate, it's through NextAmp. It's that program we have with NextAmp. And so they basically charge us a percentage of power. And that's what we get charged, and then it's credited off of our electric bill.
But
And it gets confusing.
that's about,
I think that's an understatement.
that's about cost and it's about
Mhm.
clean versus not clean.
Right.
And how that is accounted for by DOER in a 5-year energy plan, energy reduction plan, is not clear to me. That's, you know, there's been a shift in policy, but how it plays out in the green community thing, I don't know. That's one piece that we're working on.
Thank you for all the updates, Peter, let us know.
Got any questions for me? I mean, I think of that brief prospect with South County Connector as, that's like a fire drill to me. we gotta figure out those things about, okay, if it's a regional public transportation system, and we want our contribution to be an electric vehicle. You know, how does that work out? Who's responsible for it? How do you account for, you know, in a very macro way, I think that all these regionalization issues come down to the town figuring out what's the benefit to the town in relation to the investment of the town in something that's regional in its scope.
I think the difficulty with that particular opportunity was it was very unorthodox and there wasn't a great plan in place regarding ownership of the vehicle, who would hold the title, insurance, what if there's an accident?
Of manning it.
I never saw any plan.
Yeah.
I only knew that it was,
I don't think there
you know,
was.
somebody says municipal electric vehicle and I come alive.
Yeah,
But-
so I think it was, that, the idea of a municipal electric is something that we're all behind. I think doing it where another town has the vehicle, but we own it and we put money up front was, a very limiting for that specific opportunity.
Yep.
I
mean, that, if we had that opportunity, the questions will all be answered by lawyers and accountants.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes,
I
and
don't know the
when
answer.
we've done regional agreements, we did a regional agreement for an HR director, where we talked about doing a regional agreement for a conservation agent.
Yep.
There's an intermunicipal agreement that specifies the plan.
Yep.
And if we were to regionalize owning a vehicle in that way, we would need to do something similar.
Well, there are lots of problems for individuals who own EVs when they drive them any distance. Because I know from my own experience, you can find a fast charging station on your phone, but when you get there, the fast charging station your phone said was available. It's not available, or it's broken, or you can't get charged. I mean, there are 10,000 gas stations everywhere, but finding a charging station can be like needle in a haystack. However, if you have a regular use for an EV that is well within the range of that vehicle, and you have a place to charge it overnight, that's the ideal use for an EV.
Like a fire engine.
Yeah.
Absolutely, short trips.
Do you have a fire engine that runs on electricity?
It should be, that's the next big thing.
So I think we tentatively agreed that our next police cruiser will try to make an EV, right?
Right, and the hybrid truck is supposed to be here soon, right?
But it's not a plug-in, or
It's not a plug-in. Or doesn't, nobody, I don't think it's, it's not a plug-in, it's a straight hybrid. It's like the one police cruiser is a hybrid too.
You know, it's a new technology. The infrastructure is a baby, and the vehicle's a baby, and there are gonna be problems, but fossil fuel is a big problem.
Well, we'll keep it in mind and let us know whatever we can do to help along the green communities and keep us updated with the closed landfill and we're plugging along.
Will do.
Like it to happen.
I work on an MEI, to look for that, figure that out, that MEI piece for. Mark.
MEI, yeah,
MEI for Mark. Yeah, I'll look
mass,
at that.
mass
Energy insight.
energy inventory.
Insights. Okay, yep. Yep, I'll find it.
Yeah, we signed a letter to.
Yeah, we did a letter.
Yeah.
I sent the letter
Right,
out.
so we just have to get the, you know, what the
Credentials. Login.
username and password. The world operates as username and password. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks.
Peter.
Have a good night.
Peter, good seeing you.
Next up, let's switch things around a little bit and get right to the municipal affordable housing trust. So Roger, you spoke with town council? I didn't get a chance to read through all the documents.
I did, I spoke with town council, Ken had put together a draft, declaration of trust, and I sent it to her, got her feedback on it. She essentially sent back two different ones. One was one they had worked on recently, kind of in a draft form as a declaration of trust, and another one was the bylaw version of the bylaw model of that, which they had worked with another town with and had finalized a draft on that. She really didn't have anything much other to say than she's worked with either one, and she's worked with both, and she didn't really even have a preference to either one. She didn't say either one, and so I think with that, we could move forward with either the her draft had a little more bite to it, I guess, there's a little more form to it, as she was saying. So I suggest maybe we move forward with that one, if I don't know, Ken, you have any
Oh,
comments
no,
on
I'm totally objecting to that.
Good.
No, the draft I did was just an outline
Yeah.
of, it was never meant to be the final
Right.
thing. It was meant to be the beginning, so that we could have a sense of what we were talking about, and then it went to legal. And then, as usual, when something goes to legal, it just flies away, and it just comes back, and
Has to change.
3 pages go and 35 come back.
There were
So-
some things in the ones she sent.
Well, the
us
declaration of
that
trust looks like it's 6 pages,
Yeah,
Right,
right?
that's it.
it went from 2 to 6.
Because I think we've all basically agreed that we want to move forward with a declaration of trust rather than a bylaw, right?
That's right.
So I looked it over. First of all, I'm not speaking for the group. Susan gave me a text and I wasn't planning to come, and I said, well, if you're gonna talk about it, I'll come.
So you're speaking on behalf of the group as the chair?
I'm not chair.
Ah.
Please. So I looked it over and I didn't see anything different than what I had expected or different that,
There is quite a bit.
actually not, but go
In
ahead.
the composition, there is the.
Yeah, but the composition, I mean, if you go two paragraphs beyond that, it says if possible. It's the composition in all the other towns, take it in a general form rather than a specific form.
Okay, there's a lot of issues with it. For instance, they put the town manager, which in our case is the town administrator, on there, but then you read further and it's ex officio, and there's 7 members, which means you now have only 6 members, which means it can be deadlocked every time you have a vote.
So this particular one that we're looking at comes
Right.
out of a different area than Berkshire County.
Yeah.
I think Norfolk or someplace. And in
Really?
Berkshire County, none of the existing towns have the town administrator or manager as an ex officio.
Right, at least this one's 1 member, one of the other ones had 2 members of the select board and the town manager. I'm like. Right,
So I think we can go through it if you want.
if we're gonna put this on the warrant, I feel like we should at least make sure that it reflects what we want.
Absolutely.
Well, but why don't, maybe we can cut this process, make it make more sense, the whole process. What if you have a next meeting with the housing?
Yeah, so what I was gonna suggest is that they've all got a copy of this, and I've already gotten questions back and stuff. So we have a meeting on Wednesday, and if you can give us some time on your next Tuesday meeting, we'll come back with where we're at, and then it should be fairly simple from there.
The one other thing I just wanted to get feedback from you guys on, because, and I think it's a conversation to have, is whether or not we think if we want to require all members of the trust to be Monterey residents. And I think you asked Donna and she said they don't have to be, but.
Right.
So we have the option, they don't have to be. And the question is, how do we feel about that? Because I could see pros and cons in a community where 2/3 of the houses are owned by second homeowners, some of whom have significant skills.
So we had this discussion when we set up the meeting, and we do have a member that's not a full-time resident, part-time. I don't see any problem with it, I think, and I mean, if you go to the composition of the board from the state legislature, they look at getting professionals on the board because this was aimed at
big
Run into
developments
the
in
same
town,
problem.
cities, yeah.
So it's not a rural area that doesn't have all these people
Right,
living in the
right.
town. So the idea is to try to find people that kind of match different, if you can't, then you go with what you have. I don't see any problem with having residents because of just the size and scope of the town. I mean, we just don't have the people to fill all these positions. I mean, I think we can make an argument to that. I mean, I'm cool with that.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I
I'm taking-
think I would love them to be Monterey residents,
Yeah.
but I also recognize we have a large number of people.
So I'm
who
gonna
maybe aren't.
suggest to our board, to the housing board, that we go with 9 members rather than 7 members. That allows for a select board member, the 7 we currently have, a select board member, and then 1 additional member. Having more is just a better situation rather than less, and it shares all the responsibilities. I'm suggesting that hasn't been.
I think 9's pretty large, just from trying to coordinate people's schedules in this day and age. It's not like everyone's like, oh, weeknight. I've just seen it in different groups that we have, and it can be hard to coordinate 9 people.
So.
7 seems more doable.
Sure, I don't have, I mean, I think I would push back on that just a little, because the way it's working currently with the board, we have some really good different areas that we're looking at, and we've kind of divided up into different groups to deal with different areas, and it's working really well. Having another member would just be helpful rather than and everybody no one's had any problems with making meetings or anything else, and plus we do it Zoom if I can, so.
Even the non-resident is attending all of them?
I'll tell you, hasn't missed, no, not one member has missed a meeting. Oh, where, one. But we'll just propose that, and if the select board doesn't wanna go with that, that's fine. I mean, I'm not here speaking for, just to answer any question.
It's so, this language is just so weird.
So the other thing that I would suggest is that the language is what's really a problem going to town meeting. Because the language in here is just difficult to get your head around for a town meeting. You get it in the mail, you look at it, you kind of don't look at it, you come to the meeting and then you have questions. So I think what I would suggest is that we build off the initial outline I did and include that along with an FAQ page of frequently asked questions, along with this being the warrant article, but then have some more informational things. We're also doing an article in the Monterey News that will cover some of this.
One other thing that we can do, and we've done in the past, is we just got one example, I believe this is from Needham. Other side of the state, large town. We can go back and say, do you have examples of trusts from other towns
Locally.
that we might like more, that jive with Monterey more? Because once we start paring down what language is important and what's not, and it's hard to.
So I think what you're gonna, yeah, that's fine. I think what you're gonna find is that the boilerplate for this is being used all over.
Yeah.
And there's just small changes in the boilerplate rather than, because it's a legislative situation. Somebody did the original trust and everybody's jumping on board of that. But, I don't think there's anything, I mean, I don't think there's anything in here that we can't change that wouldn't be okay from what we've just discussed. So I think it's open to change. But in terms of the town meeting and in terms of getting people behind it, it should be non-controversial. I don't see any real controversies in this. So I think that, if we provide enough public relations towards it and enough information out there, it should go fairly smoothly.
Yeah, Mickey, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had reviewed.
No,
Roger gave me a copy, so I reviewed it.
oh my God,
I'm sorry.
Transparent.
And,
which one did you do?
We need a
the
positive
original.
PR campaign.
so after reading and finding just questions that came up, I came up with my comments thinking, and I'll read them to you. While I can understand that having to wait for an annual town meeting to make decisions are unwieldy and not conducive to being able to work in real time, I have seen too many mistakes being made by committees and select boards, and sometimes by those to whom they turn for help. Be more comfortable with the range of authority, to be more comfortable with the range of authority given to the trustees in this thing. And I would just suggest a modified declaration of covenant that put more oversight in place. I think that's what has come up here. It just seemed like, you've got 7 people, and what are they getting involved us with? They're gonna be dealing with developers. I worked for a developer, I've worked with developments. I don't wanna work with them. I don't trust them. I don't trust a lot of people, that's my problem. But, and,
So where do we go with that?
I just really don't, I've seen too many. So I just thought that it was just too loose in the authority given to this group of 7 people. That, what are they gonna do? They're gonna be getting land and doing so, it just seemed like they had, it was just much too loose. That was my thing.
I mean, realistically, Nikki, I mean, we can have a bigger discussion at some point, but, the trust, you would like a trust, but you would like it to have more oversight, is what you're saying.
Right,
And
somehow.
not
it has to
really,
be
I
more-
guess since no one seems to have tried that, I don't really know what that oversight would look like in a practical sense, not in a
I have
theoretical.
no idea.
I don't know either.
Who would be the oversight?
It's the financial oversight that you're gonna
You
look
know,
at.
and the,
Who-
in the
Mickey, who would-
protections, where you had protections in place, that had nothing to do with, anything in timely, that's, you're gonna give them an audit every year. So what can happen in a year, the same, and, a gift, are these gifts the right thing to accept, and, how do you understand, what's been done? The protections were nothing, they were not protections as far as I could see.
I get you.
But I like the idea of the trust better. I just think the timeliness of it being able to act. But
I'm just not following what additional protections would be there. I mean, there's like 4 pages of
yeah, well, I haven't seen
oversight.
that one.
Huh?
I haven't seen that one. I saw the one you gave last year.
Oh, which one are you looking at? Let me
The
see.
one you gave out last.
Oh, yeah, so that's an outline of what the lawyer sent us 6 pages of
Yeah,
protections.
And I hope it's in there.
Yeah, I will send you a copy.
That's why we need the legal version.
Okay.
I will send you a copy.
There's nothing. There's no more oversight. in it.
Well, I think it's, I think I can see where you're coming from, Mickey, because we are creating an entity that has authority, but we're doing it for a good reason.
Yes, and I didn't say it wasn't for good reason. And I didn't say that I thought that the trust was wrong. I just think it was much too loosely constructed.
Well, you'll see the new one.
Yeah, I'll see the new one. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Or another day.
Any other questions? You're gonna go to your group. You want some time on the agenda next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday,
Great.
first thing.
First thing,
What I'll do is I'll draft up everything that goes on Wednesday, I'll draft up and get over to you guys so that you're kind of up to date where we're at, and then I don't see anything major coming forward. I think that we'd like to move ahead with this and try to make it as smooth as possible and with oversight. Lots of oversight. Yeah, I think it's good. No, I was pleased. I mean, what displeases me a little is just the fact that lawyers just grab what's from another town and we got something. I mean, we got this thing and it's all good, but it's not written specifically for Monterey.
No. it's-
well, I
It would have to be.
I have benefited in the past from just asking, when we were looking at a noise bylaw, didn't pass, but we got 5 examples.
Oh,
So
sure.
we could read through them and see what seems like it would work for Monterey and use that as a,
Well,
Start-
the outline, the original outline I did came from 3 different towns up here.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like, I mean, it's, there's a real similarity, but this particular one, because it's state legislature, it's fairly specific, and there's not gonna be much changes in it, and I think just the makeup of it, I mean, we can fool around with that a little and get some opinions on that, but I don't think there's an issue, there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I think we're ready to move on to the next agenda.
Yay,
What's that?
yay,
Thank you for joining us.
yeah, no
It
problem,
was a pleasure.
Good seeing you.
have a good trip.
I will. I'll see you next Tuesday. I don't leave.
Oh, really? Oh,
I leave at 30.
We're not far with it.
can we do it the following Tuesday then?
So I'll give a little update on the Lombardo Park Committee. There are 9 people that have expressed interest in 7 positions. There's 10 people that have expressed interest in 7 positions. Kind of.
Kind of.
From the select board, Frank's volunteered. From the Parks Commission, Stephen Zweig and Tom Menzie both have been nominated. I visited their meeting. We discussed how it'd be good to have 2 Parks Commission members because the Parks Commission has knowledge about parks and will take over the property eventually. So Stephen and Tom from the Parks Commission, so that brings us to 3 people. As to the designated seats for Lake Buell and Council on Aging, Lynn Seversky has said no one really volunteered at the Council on Aging meeting, but she could kind of serve for now. That being said, if she doesn't really want to serve and we have other people who do really want to serve, we can have a conversation about that. And then from Mark Amstead on the Lake Buell Tax District, no one from the Lake Buell Tax District leadership of their committee
Yeah.
wanted to serve. He asked me if he should send it out to everyone on Lake Buell. And I said, I didn't think that was necessary, but then it turns out none of our other members of the public applicants are taxpayers for the Lake Buell District. So we don't have any Lake Buell taxpayers. We do have plenty of people who live in that neighborhood right across the street, right across 57, but not Lake Buell taxpayers. Other than we have 2 abutters. There's, the property only has 2 direct abutters. They each submitted a form of interest. I asked town council, I said, this seems like it might be a conflict of interest, can you weigh in? She said the abutters are presumed to have a financial interest in the topic of how the park will be used. However, since they're appointed, they could file a section 19 form with the select board if you think their interest is not so substantial that they are conflicted. So if we felt strongly about having abutters and felt strongly that they're not conflicted, they could fill out paperwork to serve. And then other than that, we have 4 members of the public, 3 of which live in the general neighborhood and 1 lives on Main Road, up by the cemetery. So we're not gonna make appointments.
Butter's gonna have a hot dog stand, I can't imagine they're gonna benefit financially, but it might impact their lives.
I think it might impact the value of the property.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think the main reason why I even asked town council is because every time ZBA
Right.
takes on a case of an abutter, Conservation Commission takes on the case of an abutter, members of
Right.
those committees recuse themselves.
Right.
So it felt like if we're making a whole committee about one property,
Those butters.
and you're in a butter, it is gonna affect your property value if there's a nice, beautiful park next door or not, one way or the other.
It's also gonna affect your existence
Yeah.
in that.
So in some ways, they'd be perfect people to have on the committee
Yeah.
because their property, there's a lot at stake in it. And I do think that they should their voice should absolutely be heard and considered. And it should be, the project should be done with sensitivity toward the abutters and take that into consideration. But it's hard for me to think that there's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And that they should have a seat on the board.
Nothing you have to do the paperwork up front. because you never know what you get into.
I mean, I
Because
sort of
it's
feel
such
like
a, you're starting from scratch.
it's safer to not have them, but they can of course always go to a meeting and voice their opinion.
Yeah.
Their opinion can be heard without sitting on.
Well, I think it should be a major task of the
Yeah,
project, is how is it gonna affect the
exactly.
abutters in the neighborhood? And make sure that we're very sensitive to an easement that goes right through the middle of the property. That's gonna be a driving factor of how the project is completed.
And I have another letter from Betsy Andrews, by the way, I don't know if she sent it to all of us.
Yes, I think
So
so.
that should do.
So, that said, if we're to rule out abutters because of that complication of the conflict of interest, and still welcome their input on the process, but just not have them have a seat on the board, which would make it quite messy. We have 7 people, plus Lynn, who's offered to be a representative from the COA. And we don't really have anyone from like Fuel Tax District, and we're not making appointments tonight, it will be
Okay.
next week. And
Do you think it, like, how important do you think it is that we have someone from the tax district?
well, we had wanted to have somebody,
Yeah.
and I thought really from leadership of the tax district, and
Which would have been good.
which would have been
Nobody
good,
wanted to
and no
say.
one wanted to do it, and no one really wanted to do it from the council on aging. So, but now I think I would have to reread Lynn's email, I just
Straight.
got it this morning, but, that's what we're.
I mean, the reality is, if people are enthusiastic about participating, their likelihood of their attendance or active contribution is a lot lower.
Yeah.
So, roping someone into participating if they don't have an active interest may not be helpful. We
No,
might like to have those people, but if they're not interested in participating, they're not going to.
So, that said, we could move forward next week with the 7 appointments. I mean, I guess one thing I should probably do is double check with Lynn. Is she doing this only because she feels like she needs
yeah,
to?
she's kind of stretched. I mean.
Yeah, she had said, I think basically she'd do it so that someone could do it from Council on Aging, but if we say, you know what? It's not,
This is a weird thing to say, but what about I wonder if anybody asked Kyle,
well,
because she's on the lake,
and the Council on Aging, so
right?
there was 2 opportunities.
Oh, right, and she might, but I don't know if she was
I mean, it's not
yeah,
to assume, but.
and she may be overtaxed, like I know she's.
So, yeah, we'll make the appointments next week, but I think everyone's on board with having 2 members of the Parks Commission. There was also a discussion about,
Are you asking me if the Parks Commission is on
no,
board?
the
with that?
select board wants you, and I think, we usually let boards select their own chair. I think if Tom, if you're up for chairing the committee, I think that'd be great.
If someone else is highly motivated and has a good skill set, I have no problem deferring to that person. If we have to go to the bottom of the barrel, then I'll step up.
Well, I think my vote of confidence for you, because of your involvement with the Parks Commission over the last several years and your knowledge of the workings of town government and the ARPA project, right, the playground that you were involved with. Whereas some of these other people, they're enthusiastic and interested, which is great, but they don't have that recent experience with town government, so I hope you'll chair.
No pressure.
I'm seriously considering that.
Okay.
I'd like to know what the makeup of the rest of the committee is.
Yeah,
I
so
think it would-
sitting today, all I can tell you, it'd be Frank.
Yeah.
Abbott, Stephen Zweig, Tom Enzi, members of the public, Valerie Zante, Michael Zisser, Robert DeVerglio, Elizabeth Vogt Evans.
Yes, you gave us that list
Yeah.
in advance.
And Lynn Saberski, if she's interested, but I think she was trying to do a favor.
I think it's unfortunate that somebody hasn't stepped up from the Lake Buell tax district to get that perspective. Because, yeah, I know Lake Buell, but I don't know about living on Lake Buell and what kind of impact, tax district people see this project having?
Well, maybe the other thing we could do is we could make those the 7 voting members, and then the council on aging representative and the Lake Buell, they could be a liaison to the council on aging and a liaison to the Lake Buell tax district, because I don't think people were willing to devote all the time and energy to meeting monthly and making plans, but it would still be good to communicate, keep them in the loop. Maybe, if that works, if we could find somebody.
I don't know the Lake Buell leadership at all.
Well, I think it's not due to lack of interest. Mark was very interested and would be a great addition to the committee. He doesn't have time. So,
I talked to him this afternoon.
yeah, and he said the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he probably has time to have breakfast at the roadside with the chair every now and then. Or
Or build a house next door.
Yeah, right, or
When he's
chair.
framing the house next door to me, yeah. Yeah. Well, I could certainly pick his brains.
Yeah.
You know, if that's all it takes. And sometimes that's more valuable than having a signed person.
Yeah,
As part of the committee.
so maybe we can do something like that where we don't need to take all their time and energy, but we can still keep them in the loop and all that.
I think that's an acceptable alternative, considering that we don't have any other alternative.
Well, I do know one person from the Lake Buell tax district that I thought was fairly involved in the leadership and maybe said no, but maybe I could ask him again. So, you never know, sometimes it pays off to ask people again to do something that they said no to doing it first.
You know, one point, and this is probably premature, I'd like to make is that seeing what the makeup of people who utilize Lake Garfield and our town beach. You have a potential site that's very close to a larger town like Great Barrington. And this development is supposed to be for the people of Monterey. It's gonna be for the people in Great Barrington and B&Bs and resorts. So, is there a way of containing the access to that? Probably because you have a fence around there, it's better than our ability to do it at Lake Garfield. But I can tell you, at Lake Garfield, there are more cars because we restrict the parking along Tyringham Road to Monterey residents. And people have been abiding by that. We usually have more cars of non-residents parked on the side than residents along the reserve spots. So it's a nice function, it's a nice opportunity for the people of town to use it, but it's open for the public.
All right, well, that's something the committee will have
Yeah,
to
I think
tackle.
that's something, it's gotta be discussed with the committee. But I see your point though.
So you're gonna determine the other members next week?
Well, I think that's it, and I think Lynn kind of volunteered herself as a COA person, but somewhat reluctantly, so maybe she could be a liaison and not be expected to attend every single meeting, but maybe be looped in on all the emails. And I think I have someone from the Lake Buell tax district that might be willing to do the same thing. Cause we wanted a relationship with the Lake Buell tax, it's right in their neighborhood, right? And unfortunately, just no one was interested up front. So,
Gotcha. Very
all
good.
right, sound good, Tom? We'll make the appointments next week.
We'll make do with whoever steps up. Thanks.
I need to excuse myself for a minute.
Okay.
Quick intermission.
Alright,
And then Roger, you can update, actually, you could update everyone on the council on aging ban, because I already heard the update.
So, it's
see you tomorrow night.
Getting a new puppy tomorrow.
Yeah.
So-
Oh my gosh, yay.
Unless, they want to deal with a new puppy over.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
okay.
What kind of puppy?
Yellow lab.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Mine's 18 months old now, and David just pulled up a video last night of him as a little, like, a really little guy carrying a toy, and I was like, oh, he's a puppy for such a short time.
Good night, everybody.
Good and bad, right?
So the regional transportation grant request, as Peter alluded to, they essentially just pulled it back. The person who is now in charge of the Great Barrington Public Transportation Group, which is effectively managing the South County Connect, is the person who originally, Kate Coleman, who was a Simon's Rock student who started all this, and then he moved out to Colorado, and then, this position came open and he came back. And so he just started a couple weeks ago, and as Peterson was I think it was just too much too fast for him to move forward with it. So they just decided to hold off on it until a different time.
But is that southern, that's just something run out of Great Barrington, that's not part of the Berkshire Regional Transit?
Correct, it's totally separate. It's a totally separate entity.
Because there's, when you sit in the meetings for the Berkshire Regional, there's nothing for South County.
Yeah, the South County Connect sort of goes on the model of like the last mile.
Yeah,
Like they're essentially operating like Uber.
yeah.
You call them up, you get a time and they come pick you up. Where, Berkshire Regional Transit is actually operating more like a transit authority. They have times and schedules. And
Yeah, they have the
all that.
buses,
Buses.
they get the money.
Yeah,
But there was talk about expanding some of the stuff, but it was years out.
there are some coordination that's happening with them right now. There's some special programs that are being run where you through the South County Connect, you get to a certain location and they're doing like express buses
Yeah.
to Pittsfield and those sorts of things. So they're working on that to take care of that part of the transportation piece. But it's tough. It's a tough thing to figure out at this point.
Yeah, it's just, we just don't have the numbers to drive.
Yeah. They are, South County Connect is applying for a $1.57 million grant. I had mentioned this last week, which will help them kind of expand their services, help pay for staff and training and all that. So, as they move forward, so they are trying to expand it, which the whole electric bus, again, as from last week, was about expanding their fleet is kind of where they're at. So.
I'm assuming Sarah didn't get us a treasure.
No, I sent her another email.
Okay.
I haven't gotten back.
Bylaws or employee. I mean, bylaws is more pressing. Or
Yeah.
The warrant is more pressing, right?
Bylaws. Yeah, I did not get a chance to go through the fine tooth comb, nor did I.
It's kind of overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming.
Eric Russell is a member of the legal team, right?
That's what I told you.
Yeah. Do we have anything to do with the bylaws today, or should we? What I'm thinking of doing almost
But
is,
if we're signing the warrant, don't we have to have next week?
oh, we're not signing the warrant.
Oh, okay.
No.
Couple more weeks.
We're
Okay.
signing the warrant on December 16th.
Okay, I had a moment.
Yeah.
All right, next week, that's fine. I was like, oh my God, how are we doing this? That was last minute.
Sign up where I'll be.
Are you joining us remotely next week?
No, I'll be here next week.
Okay.
I'll be the
Okay.
November
The
3rd.
goal is to sign the warrant on the December 16th.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, that's perfect. To go
Okay.
back to 13.
So,
Like, I
And
don't have
Roger, can
problems
you-
with his like deleted letters, cause he's just capitalizing stuff, but then I'm like, why are you deleting dates? I mean, now I have to go figure out. why.
he explained why.
He doesn't, not here, it just says.
Well,
delete.
he, in a comment at the beginning, explained why he deleted all the dates, which is that we're starting fresh.
That's,
Ah, okay,
And from there on out, you have a fresh set of bylaws. If you amend them, you add the date when it was amended.
okay,
But to have, a date or two or three associated with each article just
okay.
adds up and gets busy.
I didn't see anything at the beginning that said that, but okay.
It might be conflict on the other side. I could be,
The other side, oh.
I don't know, Matt, or you might, I don't know if you have the ability to see from that. Look at his comments, when you look at all the formatting, there's a way to deselect looking at formatting, and get very, we kinda need to start clean.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can forget how to, markup option.
If you uncheck
Right.
formatting. Yeah. There's more to track changes than I ever wanted to know about before I got on the select board, and I never.
I know, okay.
Alright, so we'll get right into the employee handbook, personnel policies.
Can, so on that, you mentioned easements of Curtis Road.
I was gonna ask you, did you get in touch with?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Do you know her name?
I can't remember, but I'll find it. Yeah, I'll get it. It was, I can't remember.
Next DOT.
Yeah.
You used to work at a Gould firm in, Kilburn Falls.
Right, yeah, I'll find him. He sent an email actually recently,
Oh, really?
within the past month,
Okay, not for me,
so,
something.
yeah.
So the first question, what do you wanna start with? I mean, we were kind of working on them in order,
Do
but
we have political activity policy?
sure, you wanna start with some easy ones? Political activity policy. I mean, it's one paragraph, so.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. The only thing, if they wanted more information, you can have a link to the website that gives you the full thing, 'cause I didn't know.
Okay, do you have a link?
Here, just look at the bottom there.
That link is like that's not a great link, I don't think, it's just public search.
You got it, yeah.
New document, but what about OC?
I did it on the
US. No, I mean, it looks like it would get you there, but sometimes those links change.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
I will find a viable link and,
Alright, hearing no other edits, the political activity policy is approved by unanimous consent as amended by adding a link. Recruitment and selection.
today is the 18th, right?
I had a question, when we do police officers, do we do any drug testing prior to doing employment? I thought we did police.
That I don't know.
Yeah, so it has an examination section, which is.
Yeah, I saw the pre-employment physical exam.
Yeah, but don't you, should there be something in there that you could be required to take a drug?
Well, I was just gonna say, it says maybe written, oral, practical, but it doesn't say anything medical. I feel like it should say maybe written, oral, medical, because these aren't even,
Where you say?
section
Each
E,
section E under examination.
they're not even alphabetical, so. So I think putting medical in there would cover like the fire department medical ones as well. Right? What,
Well, I think that's not about medical examinations,
no, it isn't really,
because that's where there's a pre-employment physical exams.
where's the
That's right on V.
That's section 5.
or
offer
five.
of employment?
After that.
Pre-employment physical exams, okay, so we don't do
No, we
written,
don't.
oral, or practical exams. I mean, we might require them to have a licensure or support them getting one, but as far as I know, since I've been here, at least, we've never done any of those.
Yeah, because you wrote on there.
Right, so I'm inclined to delete it. I then have to go through and change all the letters, but I can deal with that. Does anybody else have it?
I think it may require, and I'd leave it in,
Because we might
we
someday.
may require.
Okay,
I mean, there might be a position where we need to, like, it's a town clerk, and you need to answer questions about how to be a town clerk. And if you answer them correctly,
Or how to use an
then you
Excel
can get the
spreadsheet.
job, I don't know.
okay. I mean, I'm willing to leave it.
Seems like
I
it
just-
covers us a
Alright,
little bit, I don't know.
I'm
I
just in
will,
case.
I will reject my comment and we will be done with that.
I just, my question is under recruitment. where it says the select board shall determine if the position will be filled internally by promotion or recruitment. Is that something that you would determine? Would you say that so-and-so is, like if a position is, we'll just take highway department, for example, because it's, historically, it's been 4-3-2, foreman, superintendent. Would you internally promote somebody from a 4 to a 3 just by saying we're going to internally promote them? Or would you actively go out and find somebody? I know, I just want to make sure, as
We've
opposed
also
to.
not internally done it and done a search, even though we had a candidate.
So it does apply. I just wasn't certain, because I've.
I think we
been around.
could, in the right situation, just promote.
I mean, I think that leaving it open, both choices is okay.
Yep.
But your
Because I
point
know,
will take.
because I know some places like those are mostly like with unions where you have to post it anyway, even though. you
Yeah,
might have
well,
a
that's,
return
that,
candidate.
we always had that.
Yeah, you have-
Every
you have
job
to
has
post
to be posted.
Well, so,
I think we
or
all.
do we wanna do that? Because then we cannot say we'll just fill it internally, no posting.
I mean, we made the reasoned choice in the case of the chief of police to do a search anyway.
We
And,
didn't for the fire chief
But-
or assistant. honestly.
and we didn't for the internal, I think it was
I don't know, how did
Tyler?
Tyler got promoted, so did,
Those ones do move about, because
Yeah.
sometimes we have a highway 3, because they were less certified and experienced in highway 2, but then by the time highway 2 leaves, you leave them in 3, but your applicant for the position for 2 is less qualified, so they kind of move about like that.
was,
But that's totally different than saying, oh, we needed, our police chief's retiring,
Right.
we'll
we
promote
needed
one of the
to,
officers.
Right.
I mean, either way is fine, I just wanna make sure, because I've only been
We wanna
around.
make sure we do it the way we're doing it.
Yeah, I just wasn't certain, because I wasn't around for anything other than putting stuff out.
It was a good question. Do not be mistaken, I'm not upset with the question,
I think it's probably good form as a public body
to
to just advertise, to just always post. And then I think that's probably just good form. And you might have a great internal candidate, but it's like how we have to put things out to bid.
Yeah.
You might have a really good price, but then you don't have critics of the
Well,
government
you didn't
saying,
do blah, 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 yeah.
that person got a deal by getting the truck for $18,000, but we put it on Municipal.
Right.
So it was a fair and open process.
I mean, the only thing,
The thing with the fire chief thing, I do think is different, because they were the fire chief and deputy fire chief for many years. It was different that it became paid, but it's not like,
That's true,
It's not-
meant as a complaint. It's
Yeah.
just, he was just an
Just saying
observer.
we're doing it.
but just as another observation, it wasn't
They weren't
It
just
wasn't like
regular
an internal
firefighters,
promotion.
they got,
Oh.
yeah,
fully,
Right.
it was almost like
they
a,
were already surveyed,
Yeah.
and they'd been duly appointed. What was I just gonna say?
And I'm-
How would it affect the switcher, like, the irony is the highway 4321, the hierarchy is kind of it's, in my mind, it's a little bit artificial.
Yeah.
And so, although you could argue that moving someone from one of those positions to another, or just, this'll sound weird, but somebody's here for a few years and their pay scale's going up, and then somebody above them, like, they've now acquired all the skills, like you were saying, and they're actually fulfilling whatever the job description of, say, they started Highway 1 and now they're Highway 3. Essentially, they're fulfilling those skills, and Highway 3 leaves, so that person was actually technically Highway 2.
I think what we should redo in the highway department, really, and we can talk about the new superintendent with this, is highway superintendent, foreman, operator labor, labor.
Right,
Mhm.
It's an operator labor position, it's not a highway 3.
right.
So
So
that
it's
can
not
get rid of
just
some of that difficulty.
difficulty.
And I think in
Okay.
general, let's just make it, we post it.
So do you wanna keep the same, you wanna keep the verbiage, or you wanna just?
All positions will be advertised? Or are we leaving select board to determine the position will be filled
Internal background check, I approve.
I think you leave it as it is.
Really?
Yeah, I just think it leaves your options open. You can't
Okay.
predict it.
Okay.
And
And then-
doesn't hold you to anything.
The only other thing
It
is,
doesn't cost.
well, no, actually not the only other thing, but working down A, notice of vacancies, we don't always have a closing date for applications.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should, I think sometimes we are looking for the right person and there's not a hard deadline.
Yeah, we've done that, I think I've done that a couple of times, I think I did it with the town clerk, I didn't have a closing, through Indeed, I didn't put his closing dates up there, I don't put anything, even when I was putting applications, notifications in the newspapers, I didn't say closing date, it was just sort of,
So do we wanna move that, do we wanna do something like say, closing date for applications, parentheses, recommended, close parentheses? I mean, this is one of those things that changes frequently in terms of practice, like, there's a ton of jobs out there now that just don't put salary, which I think is crazy, because I would just,
Yeah.
I would flat out never apply for a
Yeah.
job that didn't list a salary range.
I would just get rid of a closing date for applications, unless we feel strongly it should be included, and then we should
No,
leave it
I
in there
think
and do it.
it-
No, I think it gives you.
You can always put it in there if you want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But I would say, take it out. That's
Done.
okay.
Gone.
The posting and advertisement for job vacancies. It says notice of vacancy shall be concurrently posted in conspicuous public place and advertised locally or online. I think that we should specify definitely the town website. There's gotta be a place, it's gotta be. And then beyond that, it can be Shopper's Guide, it can
Yeah.
be Berkshire Jobs,
cause I don't know, conspicuous public place,
Town Hall.
town hall,
The
it's like,
town hall or the
well, it's just
library,
like sticking a
library
piece of
might
paper
go
on
for
the.
a little.
Right, legal, like, I guess you
If I'm
could
at
say,
home,
shall concurrently be posted in a conspicuous public place, comma, the legal posting site for town, which we happen to know. the
Would
website,
say.
but-
I think we just put town website, and
Okay,
then maybe also, do we put them all in the Shopper's Guide? Not really.
I put everything in the shopper's guide, because the Berkshire Eagle's expensive for just a short period of time.
I just wonder if we should standardize that. I know we wanna leave flexibility, but I do think something should be standardized, because it does promote a certain level of transparency.
well,
If people
we've
know.
consistently been using the shopper's guide, right?
Yeah, I have, yeah, because like I
Because
said,
it's the most cost effective.
it's the most cost effective and, for what I can do for 3 days in the Berkshire Eagle, I can do for a month in the shopper's guide. So I don't know what the distribution numbers are for either one, but it just feels that for having it out there for a longer period of time.
Well,
It's
the
better.
shopper guide is, that's total marketing, so,
Yeah.
they get sent to your house, newspaper,
Yeah.
selected,
Right.
you
True.
I'm sure the Ryan and Mason weren't looking at the Berkshire.
So,
I don't even know.
and that's the
They're
other
not
thing too,
used to
is
newspapers.
our most two recent employees, it was all word of mouth.
Yeah.
It wasn't even through the newspaper.
Yeah, but it's good form.
Good for it.
What do you think? All right, posting it, so it now reads, notice of vacancy shall be concurrently posted in a conspicuous public place, comma, the town website, comma, and advertised locally, including the shopper's guide and online.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay,
That's fine.
Does that leave you open for when things change? So you're not changing the wording
every time we,
every time like a new format comes up or something, but online maybe is enough to keep.
online's pretty vague,
Yeah,
which I did on purpose, and let's
Yeah.
face it, I think the shopper's guide, it's currently the least expensive, if it goes under,
Okay,
then
yeah.
obviously you can't do it anymore.
people know that things are advertised there.
Yeah.
Because it's an advertisement.
Yeah,
document.
Exactly. So I don't know what else you're gonna do with that, except I think that covers it. All right,
And then the one other thing I didn't know is, I know we adhere to the principles of equal employment opportunity. What about affirmative action? Do we follow?
where are we?
It's throughout the first two paragraphs.
Oh, back up. So equal employment opportunity means all none.
That I know we do, and I think we put on our
We have it, yeah.
advertisements for EEO.
Yeah,
But what about affirmative action? It says here that we're gonna abide by affirmative action, I just don't know that.
I
we
don't
do.
know that we
I
do,
don't know what the difference
and
is.
I'm not sure what the
Well,
difference is.
I think affirmative action is
Actively
actively
recruiting.
recruiting diversity in these
Minor,
categories.
Yeah, well, we don't do that.
We do
We just-
equal employment opportunity, we don't discriminate based on these classes, but I don't know that we do affirmative action, I don't wanna say that we do if we don't.
I would take that out.
Okay, so take it out. It is
I agree, take it out.
principles of equal employment opportunity. Just take out that.
The other thing is we don't approve every job vacancy notice, number 3. Recruitment of the position shall not begin until the job vacancy notice is approved by the town administrator and select board.
Where you at again?
Right.
Three,
Recruitment.
Yes, if it's a new department head, we'll look at it. If it's a new transfer station attendant,
Right.
are we gonna put on the select board agenda to approve?
Posting it,
That's what you're saying.
we usually do approve, well, we do,
We
because
do.
we have to give permission to actually hire for the job.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been how we do it. We've
Yeah.
done it. We've
For
done
the
it every
most
time.
part.
We don't,
When did we not?
we don't have like a job.
I think there's been a
vacancy.
couple lately where Roger was like, we lost this employee. Posted it and we hired for it. I don't know.
No,
I
he
think
may
we
have
always
started beforehand, but the board has approved Paul. But he may start
Yeah.
before.
Sure.
I didn't know about that.
I guess it's the term job vacancy notice. I don't know, we don't have a job vacancy notice, like an official form. So I don't know if that's like a term until, or, recruitment of position not begin until the,
I think job vacancy notice isn't advertised for the job. That's what I.
And we don't look at every ad. I don't, maybe it's nitpicky.
It is kind of nitpicky.
Okay.
I mean, it is kind of nitpicky. I think that we're
Yeah,
like
that's it.
kill ourselves if we go to the
All right.
role and everything.
Then, I think we're good to go.
Okay, so are we approved?
We're approved.
Yeah, as
as
amended.
changes as amended.
No, not 25.
But Roger, under C, do we get a release and authorization for investigation and reference check for people? We will.
During the onboarding process, that there is that, it's not beforehand, but it
Okay.
happens during the onboarding process, because I was thinking the same thing when I saw that, but that's where all that takes place.
Okay. All right. I will save.
So that's why it is, actually, you do say that though, they're not a candidate at that time, they've been effectively hired.
Offered.
They've been offered the job, they've been hired, they've offered the job, they've accepted it. We have said, now move forward and do this. I have no idea if anybody
No,
does
you-
anything.
You don't get authorization for a reference check before you hire them? Because you gotta check the references before you hire them.
Well, there's no paperwork,
Ah,
so it's like,
so we're
Could you
not
please-
actually requiring a
could
paper.
you please give me your references, is a question I have asked people, but there's no like,
We don't have them sign
there's
on.
no
Legal
authorization.
release of reference
Right.
check.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
do we wanna,
Notarized.
yeah, really,
basically, all we do is all candidates applying for employment should complete an official employment application.
I'm just thinking, I know that like,
That's about all we do.
they have to have a quarry check, right?
That's all part of the onboarding.
Onboarding.
Yeah.
Okay. And do they have to sign anything to allow the quarry check?
During the onboarding piece, it's an electronic document that gets signed.
So they do,
Again, during onboarding, so they're past the application point.
right? References.
So it's almost like after employment application form, all that stuff happens, release and authorization for investigation and reference check. That happens during the onboarding piece.
I know.
We might be nitpicking.
I mean, someone could say you didn't let me sign it beforehand.
Why do they need to sign something for us to check the references?
If you give the references, it's implied consent,
I know.
frankly, in my view. If you give them, never give them a reference contact,
I
if
mean,
you don't
that's
want
the,
them
I've
to know.
never heard of that, signing a consent form to get a reference.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think I'm gonna give you my references.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving now. So what do I do?
I think it's good.
I think it's-
Leave it as it is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Retirement plans.
All I did with this was combine both OBRA and the regular retirement plan, because I thought it was ridiculous to have separate
Yeah, yeah.
policies for them, so I just put the two of them together.
I put the BerkshireRetirementCenter.com on the bottom. Then you
Oh,
can
the
get,
actual contact? Okay. Good idea. What do they call Berkshire Retirement, what?
Berkshire County Retirement System.
Berkshire County Retirement System. Why don't you like county? That's how you spell county thing.
Actually, I think they only go by Berkshire County Retirement.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a Berkshire County Retirement System, you're right.
All right.
Select board correspondence.
Wait, are we approving?
Yeah.
You have to just say it. for me.
Retirement plan approved by unanimous consent as amended,
Okay, I just have to.
for the record. For the minute.
Okay.
When are you gonna let us hire you to do the minutes?
No.
We're recruiting you. We didn't, even though we didn't post the job.
No.
you gotta say the consent, sign the consent forms and references.
All right, are we sticking to
Where
the?
you're-
See reference
we-
to
we-
the-
Select board
You're both
correspondence. I'm just
dead,
going
so I
out.
don't
Okay.
Oh, that's not
So select board correspondence, are there any comments or questions? Approved as drafted.
Okay. I mean, it came up for a specific reason, but, all right.
Yeah. There in case we need it.
Give me a second.
And it looks like we're gonna micromanage all of our employees if we don't need it.
Okay. I'll- Close. Solid necessities?
This was an interesting one. I've never heard of this before. So I was doing some investigating.
Okay.
And you have to have 50+ employees, which
To
We don't
offer
have
or to
to
be
offer,
required to
right?
offer?
to be required.
No.
You have to be employed at least 12 months. And you have to have worked 1,250 hours in that 12-month period. And then you get it. So it might be something to sort of look into a little bit, maybe.
I don't think that we need to do it. All of our department, we offer sick time, personal
Yeah.
days, and
Okay.
vacation time.
I would agree. It's just, it was the first time I've ever heard of this. I went and looked it up. It is Mass General Law, but it seems like it's more for larger entities.
That are maybe really peculiar with how they do their paid time off,
Yes.
which we're not
Right.
that,
We're pretty, we have,
nitpicky.
I'm just making a note on here.
Yeah, we're not
this-
doing it.
I'm talking about paid time off now, all of it? Or not?
Yeah, so we have parental leave, pregnant workers,
Oh, that kind.
but we also had the combined paid time off.
There's also the performance improvement and discipline policy is a combined one too.
Okay, so
And that one's a little bit,
where shall we start, Susan, you tell us?
I don't know, personally, I feel like parental leave, I think is okay. I mean, Donna looked at it and didn't have any, I think she didn't have any problems with it. She had one issue with, which one was it? I think it was the other one. It was the Donna ones.
so
Did any things up?
the one thing I was looking at it is, so like posting, so that the town shall post a notice of employees' rights. For like the parental leave policy, that's what we're on, right? So, not that, I think there is a posting, I gotta go. look.
Yeah, there is a component.
It's on the door as you go down to the basement. But I don't know if it's together with a copy of this policy in a conspicuous place, so we have to have all this stuff together.
I don't know, I'm not sure, but I do know that there's the version that Collins drafted, which is one that just says parental leave. And then there's version that Donna sent, which is apparently the one she and Sophia drafted.
Sophia was
The previous HR person. And having looked at both of them, which I sent out to you, having looked at both of them, here's the problem. I actually think it's clearer in the one that Donna drafted with Sophia, and that's me saying, oh God, the lawyer drafted it, it's longer, but it's still clearer.
Mhm.
And, the problem is, I do think the tone is significantly different than the tone from the other ones. It's much more,
tones from all the other ones. Yeah, I was actually, I was actually just thinking that.
exactly,
This is
it
very-
sounds like somebody else drafted it, because somebody else drafted it.
Maybe there's a way to,
And I don't
Dumb it
know,
down.
like, that's a good question, like, is it worth
I
changing
think-
it for that reason, or do we just stick with the one we had?
I think we should probably go with the clear lawyerly version, because frankly, if someone, instances where someone take these complicated leaves don't come up very frequently, so usually Roger, if I'm not mistaken, does just ask Donna, how does this work?
usually.
So let's go with the
Okay.
lawyer version.
And the second issue is that she had a question that we need to answer, which is, Alexander said, for unpaid leave statuses other than FMLA leave, does Monterey require employees to pay full cost of premiums? So basically, it's in section 4, benefit continuation C. An employee who is on unpaid leave pursuant to this policy and has exhausted his or her FMLA leave coverage shall be responsible for assuming the full cost of premiums for health insurance coverage. So it doesn't come up in the Collins drafted one, right? So it's not, that part isn't in there. I don't think it says anywhere in here anything about, that if you take leave longer than that amount of time and it's unpaid leave and you've exhausted all of it, then we're not paying for your benefits.
Mhm.
Basically, is what that amounts to.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I get why it's in there. It probably needs to be in there from a legal standpoint. The flip side of that is, I mean, I guess if they had exhausted all of their family medical leave and then they're taking parental leave on top of that, that's a lot of leave, and if we were a big town and we had a lot of people, we could probably cope with it, but we have the two parent thing in there because we are a small town. And we just experienced a situation where one staff member was out for almost a year and it was really debilitating for the town. So it's not that I don't understand why a parent might wanna take more leave, even unpaid, but it leaves us with a problem because we're gonna have an empty position for a very long period.
You can't hire somebody just to,
That's it, you can't hire, we'd have to hire somebody else and you can't because they're like in limbo, this person.
So should we just, should we go with the Donna drafted version and leave in the full cost of premiums
Yeah, I
responsibility?
think so.
Yes.
And do we need the posting requirement?
put it on the top and
And it's
outside
in
of the bulletin
conspicuous
board.
places, I mean, I think there's a lot of things we have to have up, right?
I guess.
There's a lot of
No, there is-
Labor
there's
law
a-
posters.
We have the labor law posters.
Yeah, the labor law, standard
Um,
minimum wage and.
I mean, I guess a conspicuous place is the website.
so I guess the thing that Alexander was asking is whether, do we have any other leave policies that mention them covering the full cost of their premiums if they're on unpaid leave?
Not that if they're on unpaid leave. not
Yes.
unpaid leave.
For unpaid leave statuses other than FMLA.
Not that I'm
So
aware
if
of.
someone took an unpaid medical leave.
Not that I'm aware of. I have to go through and look at.
And that hasn't,
What policies
so
we
far,
have.
I don't think it's in any other policy, but then because they don't want us to be discriminated against pregnant
Right.
or parents, where we're not doing that for other people.
Yeah, I have to go through.
So I guess we'll have to go through to see if we.
Because do we have we don't have an unpaid leave policy. So, I mean, the only other time, I'm just trying to think when someone would be put, or someone would go on unpaid leave. because they're gonna be on vacation, they're gonna be sick time. Those are all paid leaves, paid
So
time
how
off.
would you get, so an employee who's on unpaid leave pursuant to this policy, who has exhausted his or her, so in other words, you have to have exhausted your FMLA for one reason.
Yep.
And then turn around and use this policy for another 8 weeks.
Well, you
But
would,
we don't owe you any more unpaid leave.
you would be on
Paid
unpaid, you would be on unpaid leave, if, say, for example, you had exhausted all your vacation and sick time before going on family medical leave. So you are now effectively on unpaid leave,
FMLA, that,
under FMLA.
right,
So that's where I've seen that happen before. I've seen that happen where someone has done that, and then they're responsible for their premium payment, because normally it comes out of the fact that you're working, so that premium payment, that payment for insurance is taken out of your what you're paid.
Right.
But if you're not getting paid, you have to come up with those dollars.
But this is
full
cost.
cost. So in other words, if you remain on unpaid leave indefinitely, the town isn't even paying the town's portion. You have to pay the whole full cost, is what that says.
I see that. I haven't seen that before. I've only seen paying, I've only seen paying the portion. of
Your
the
portion,
employee.
your percentage.
Yeah, your
50,
percentage.
25%.
Yeah. I've never seen where you have to pay the entire amount, if you're on unpaid leave, especially if you're on family medical leave. That's what they're saying.
So it's a totally our decision, we just need to be consistent between
Right.
this and other policies.
And I guess the question is, do we really have, other than FMLA, do we have unpaid leave? We don't, as far as I know. I mean, I don't think I've come across it, but I just wanna make sure I'm not forgetting something.
No, because
So
where
this-
that would apply is someone that's gonna be off for a long period of time. I
If
don't
we had
see-
200 employees, maybe we could do it.
Good, but you can't, someone said, I need the summer off, or I need the winter off, and I work in the Department of Highway,
So I think we approve it as it is,
I agree.
Okay,
approved.
Parental leave and pregnant workers.
Well, that was parental leave,
John's parental leave.
and that was the Donna version. Pregnant workers, I don't have any comments.
I'm gonna have to, I just have to make sure the top part of this. If I don't make a note, I'll lose parental leave to be
Approval. And title. Okay.
She also had her version of the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, but it was not appreciably different. In fact, I can't find a difference, except this sounds more weary. So, kind of up to us.
I would take Donna's version.
Okay.
Agree with Justin?
Agree,
Go ahead.
approved, as drafted.
You can only be elected out there. Pregnant employees, just means we're becoming a younger community.
One baby at a time.
One baby at a time.
Sorry. We did all those, we nixed some necessities, what about performance and discipline? So, in case it wasn't totally clear, basically, we liked the idea of combining them, which was a little bit tricky, because performance improvement was like, oh, we're gonna hold your hand, and discipline policy was like, this is what we'll do if you're bad.
Good cop, bad cop.
And, yeah, right, and I'm like, okay, sure, I should totally do that. So what I ended up doing was, the stuff in blue, the color coding means it came from one or the other, right? So the stuff in blue came from performance improvement stuff in red, no judgment here, came from discipline policy. And I tried to make it work. Whether I completely succeeded or not remains to be seen, but I did my best.
Can I take the week with it?
Of course.
Okay, that's fine.
Alright, we'll come back.
But I definitely wanted to throw out there, like,
Yeah.
I did try to weave them together, like, mostly it's blocked, because that's how it flows.
Yeah.
So yes.
Alright, we'll come back to performance improvement and discipline policy.
Okay,
Kind of
and what does that leave? I think that's all of them, right?
I think that's everything so far.
That was it, that's all that's left in that stack.
Okay. Yay.
Are we halfway done yet?
We in fact are down to 4,
42 more to go.
3, 6, there's 10 more.
There's just 10 more in total,
There's only
or 10 more groups of 6.
Just 10,
That's-
shut
yeah,
up,
yeah.
there's just 10, thank God. And some of these are like, it's actually less, because like the references thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, Mickey.
So, do you think you have no, sorry, put that, do you think you have finalized the, paid leave,
Paid time off.
paid time off?
I think we did.
I think we did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I find some issues with it.
We're gonna have,
Let's just
we're
make
gonna
sure
ask
that whatever you
departments,
have is the current.
we're gonna ask departments for input all at once,
Okay.
not group at a time, because it just gets
complicated.
too complicated.
But
But
I
are you
think
looking at the PTO policy right now?
paid time off, yes.
Yeah.
And I have reviewed it.
Do you know what version of it is?
Is
The one where you changed it to 1 in 20, which works out absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Where part-time
Oh, one and.
people get 1 hour for every 20 paid. What really works really nicely is whether you work 4 hours, 8 hours, or 12 hours, you get, or 19 hours, you get 2.6 hours off, 2.6 weeks. And I think that's my issue. I think you mentioned sometimes things are by hours and sometimes by weeks and sometimes by days. You get this many days off and that many weeks and this many this and that. It should all be by weeks because everybody works a certain amount of hours a week.
I think it should all be
By hour.
by hours. I think you should show your total hours, because it gets too confusing.
Our benefit accrual system, Mickey, works based on hours. So when our benefit accrual team, our treasurer, town administrator, payroll are working in the system, it's not going to translate 1-to-1 unless it's in hours.
Like I can't say point.
And it's gonna create confusion.
Okay,
And I understand where you're coming from, but we need something that's clear to the employee and is clear to us and gets entered in the benefit accrual system appropriately. And it accrues in employees' portals by hour.
but then when you mention vacation time, it's by weeks. And then,
So it's 40 hours, it should say 40
It's
hours.
now, it
but it's
doesn't
not
anymore,
always,
now it says,
it's.
now it's in hours. It might have used to be in weeks, but now it's in hours. It says less than 3 years of service is 80 hours, 3 to 8 years is 120 hours, and over 8 years is 160
Okay,
hours.
so, we have a library director who is a full-time employee. Does he get 160 hours off, which would work out for him to be like 6.667 weeks? You know, so it's not always the same.
I see what you're saying. We were assuming, he's a full-time
He's
employee?
a full-time
I
employee.
thought he was a part-time employee benefited.
No, he's, well,
And
that is a part-time benefited employee,
How many hours a week does it
because
work?
it's only 24,
like 24 hours.
well, it's
And
24 hours.
what happens with the people who, so you have people who are part-time, they work up to 20 hours, and then your full-time employees work 40 hours, what happens to the people who work in between 20 and 40 hours?
There aren't many, I think there's only Mark.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no,
Well, yeah, but you
well,
take,
you mean like in a week or in a pay period?
In a week.
So in a week, there's, I think it's only Mark might be the only one who works above that, because everyone else is part-time. Everyone else is.
yeah.
So I mean,
transfer
it's, but would you, what,
Well, transfer
is it
station.
allowed? I mean, suppose somebody did work, you don't have any,
We don't have a policy
you don't
that
have a
covers
policy
this
to
point.
cover that.
Well, I think in a lot of places you would do, you would, you're right, because he's a permanent part-time employee, and he would actually be getting percentages based on the 24 hours of a 40-hour work week.
I mean, I could put in something that says 80 hours parenthetical, to work 2 work week hourly equivalents or something like that, which like, I don't know how people would, but because our point
My
is, it
understanding-
should be 2 weeks that you have off, not like the number of hours you would work in a week.
My understanding of this schedule
Right.
was that it should be all full-time, 40-hour per week employees. This is their schedule.
It says all full-time employees.
Yeah,
So-
but we have had, I mean, not long ago, we had full-time employees 35 hours,
Right,
30 hours. It's not out of the, it's not a crazy thing. But to get 80 hours in your first 3 years, that should be a all full-time, 40-hour per week employees.
So, but
Maybe
she
we-
got something, we might have to,
Maybe we need to put some sort of, because you would do like, 24 hours is a certain percentage of 40 hours, and that's the percentage of vacation hours or paid time. That's what a lot of places do.
so you put a multiplier and it represents a portion of the 40-hour week.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
so-
as someone who's a permanent part-time employee.
So what
It's not-
about putting
it's
something
not a
like,
full-time employee.
shall be entitled to the following vacation time based on a 40-hour work week?
Yeah.
Prorated based on a 40-hour
Yeah,
work week.
right.
Prorated, hyphenated,
I don't think so.
But also if Roger's salary and he works 52 hours in a week, he still only gets the 40-hour per week benefit. Police chief is in the same boat.
Yeah, but he's contract for.
Yeah, they both have contracts. Director of operations doesn't have a contract. Maybe they should.
Probably should.
I'll add that to the list.
So it now reads, all full-time employees who are actively employed by the town shall be entitled to the following vacation time prorated based on a 40-hour work week, years of service, amount of time given in hours. So I'm not actually prorating it, I'm just telling you it will be prorated. Does that work for you, Mickey?
mhm.
Okay.
The other thing is you cut off the, hours allowed for part-time employees, paid time off at 40 hours.
Yep.
So somebody working 19 hours a week, which is a number of part-time employees, I would think, actually gets shortchanged.
They get 2 weeks.
Where does it?
Yeah, it just works a little bit less, it just works a little bit less than the
Oh,
time.
that's kind of.
Whereas like two.
Oh, they lose their 2 hours?
They get just 2.1 hours instead of 2.6 hours, it works out to be. So if they were all allowed to earn as much as they can, working in that, under
I
20
see what you're saying,
hours.
you don't get the hour because you only work 19, not 20.
You're right, so you just,
Yeah,
anybody,
but that change when you
you know, with a
work.
part-time,
Wait,
and then they can only carry
it should
over
work-
the
give you a lot
40
more.
hours.
It should be like 50,
For what? 50 what?
up to 40 hours per count, 50 hours.
Is that what she's, I
Yeah, 'cause
wasn't
if you
sure
work-
if that was a problem.
If you work 19 and a half hours a week
Yeah,
for 52 and a half weeks in a year,
yeah,
that's 1,023 hours divided by 20 is 51 something.
Right, but
51 decimal.
it's 49 something with 19 hours, so I.
So that would be
imagine,
awkward if you can generate more,
I think the
paid
idea,
hours that you
Yeah,
can.
like when you
Right.
take those hourly
so
times.
change it to 50?
Yeah, I think it had been at 40 because they were really used to be one for every 30.
Right,
And
so,
now
Yeah.
exactly, so we
you
didn't
can't
ditch
super,
that
super,
50,
that's why we
So
have.
you're gonna make
That's why
it
we keep-
restricting up to 50 hours,
50, yeah, I'm changing it right now.
okay.
I mean, even 50's borderline because if you work 19 and a half and it's a long year.
So, I mean, why restrict it? Just say they can only carry over 40 hours if that's what you want. How do you pay for that 40 hours when somebody,
It only matters if you backfill. So there's a lot of positions that we don't backfill for.
so like, yeah, but it says they can carry over, and suppose they have a 40 hours carried over, and then they quit at some point.
Somebody just did that. They had 80 hours.
Do they back up?
So
The
they
library
get,
doesn't
they get
close
paid
if
that.
someone's
Yeah.
out.
So how do you
So
budget
they
for
are
that?
backfilling.
Since we're seeing how we're going into the budget season, right?
You don't hire somebody
What if-
for
how
an
many-
extra
how
couple
many
weeks.
Who was that?
What's that?
Who was that?
How many hours?
Uh,
Full time?
Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Yeah,
then
he quit right after, because the way that
96 days.
the vacation was working was just
Sick leave.
giving it.
What about
We
paid time?
haven't gotten into that accrual process yet. So he got it and then gave us
We
another.
allow them to carry over one
40
week.
hours.
So we shouldn't let part-time employees carry over more than 20. 'Cause that would be the maximum of a full week.
Full-time employees can only carry over 40 hours of vacation time.
Yeah.
So we should probably not let
But sick
part-time.
But-
sick time, 90 days, that's ridiculous. That can be, if you make 20 dollars
Ironically,
an hour, it's
hours.
$18,000.
It's more somewhere else. There's
You said
plenty of towns that
asinine.
let them, you can accumulate it.
So,
Yeah, but we don't have a short-term, sick. So like, for example, if you, had to take off a month of sick time or 2 months of
So you're
sick time,
saying not to do it to
You're-
be
we don't have any other mechanism other
carryover?
than that.
Because that could be if you work
help.
10 hours a week, they get
That's
5
5
weeks
weeks, yeah.
of carryover before you earned any. So by the end of that year, you could have a lot built up.
So is.
No, I mean, it has to be a limit. I agree with that.
We limit full-time employees carrying over 1 week of vacation from year over year.
Right. That's a
The
vacation.
problem is that, this is also.
But sick time, you allow them to carry over 90 days.
So,
Is a
I
combination.
don't know,
of
all I
sick
know
and-
is it's 7:51, so I think we're gonna have to come back to this next week, unfortunately,
Okay,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna tag it though.
What,
That's-
did you wanna keep? No, it's very important stuff,
No,
I
it's
just don't think
important
we have
stuff.
time to address it fully.
Good.
Roger, town administrator updates.
On the superintendent, issue for the highway superintendent, director of operations, we interviewed 2 people last week. We're moving forward with one of them. I have some references, I have to call references, finalize that, and by next week, I'll have a name of the person who we should offer the job to. That's where we're at. Anything else on that? That's where I'm at. This is a strange one. It came up, we were asked about it a while back. We have some sort of limit on our time to get involved in this. In short, lake fuel, the Department of Conservation and Recreation goes about, the state, and they do, testing, effectively DNA testing for zebra mussels, which are an invasive species in the state of Massachusetts. Laurel Lake was over there in Lennox, that way they have a problem with them right now. So they did, there was a detection of zebra mussel DNA in the lake. They went out and they surveyed it manually. They didn't find any zebra mussels, so it could be anything could have brought the DNA in there. But when this happens, the Department of Conservation and Recreation offers a monitoring grant program, which I think we talked about this last year. What they do is they offer $6,000 in a grant. It's a reimbursement grant where we go out, we hire somebody, then they stand at the dock, they stand at the boat launch. They will actually survey boaters as they come and go, ask them about it, educate them. Over at Laurel Lake, they actually have a hot water spray that they've set up where the person actually sprays the boats as they come out
Before
of
they
the
go
water.
in or?
Or both, I believe,
Oh,
both in and out of the water. We're not looking at that, but this could be where someone actually looks at the boats on the way in, on the way out, and says, oh, look, that's a zebra mussel thing you got there, and gets rid of it. We would have to send a letter of interest, which I sent to Carrie Slowoski, who is the person, the front of this. They basically give us we go through that. It's a typical contract. They give us a contract that gets set up just like all our other reimbursement grants. It's kind of weird because it falls in between, it's usually the summertime, so it falls in between fiscal years. But what happens is you get to the end of the fiscal year, you essentially just apply for the grant again, because we're already in the program. It just comes naturally, she said.
The question I have is, who do you find to do this and
Well,
how many hours are they there versus
Well,
getting?
the hours, and two, is there's some state rule about what the hourly rate is.
I don't think so. I can
We
find
have
out.
to do it, we gotta sign it, we gotta do it, because they always had somebody and then they defunded the
Yeah.
position,
Okay,
but they funded a grant to have somebody, and now there might be zero mussels, so
Yeah, so.
So I can work through all that. She
Yeah,
said-
I
she
guess
said
because
that
you know,
you can do it like.
you know,
as
you're
long
gonna have
as-
to pay.
No, it's the most ridiculous setup. They had it all figured out, and now they gotta do this dumb stuff, but
Yeah.
we gotta do it.
Okay.
There's no, I don't think we really have an option of saying
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I just wondered what are the strings tied to it.
I'll
Yeah.
find out.
It's terrible. The setup is terrible.
You have to watch out for those strings.
Right, no, they may
Grants-
say,
grants are not
they may
free.
say the living wage is $30 an hour, and then you're paying the kid down here at this lake fund, you know, whatever we have.
I don't like this setup at all, but it's, what are you gonna
It's
do?
a necessary evil.
It's just hard to imagine hiring anyone at any reasonable wage for $6,000 for a summer and then being there enough hours to make it, like, which hours?
Well, they always did it. They always had somebody there. It wasn't, they're not there 24/7.
It's like weekend.
They had it figured out.
They had it figured
Now
out,
we gotta
okay.
do it.
I have this, list of surplus property from fire.
So,
That's 22 types, there's multiple items, there's
Right.
probably 40, 80 items. There's a couple different ways, it just needs to be voted on as surplus property. A couple different ways we could go about it, one is create groups, put it into Municipal. Another was suggested actually today by Justin, is maybe actually to reach out to some of the other towns and see if they're interested in purchasing these items as well, or that making them available to people, so. But first off, we gotta get them listed as surplus property.
Okay.
I don't know if you need me to read them
Yeah,
out.
read 'em all.
I will read out I'll read. So there's 8 assorted length pike poles, 3 Pulaski axes, I guess is what they are. 3 shovels, 2 Halligans, 2 gas-powered fans, 3 nozzles, 2 TFT foam packed, 3 forestry nozzles, 2 low pro strainer, 1 floating strainer, 6 scene lights, 2 backboards, 1 scoop backboard, 1 exhaust filter, ward, no smoke and accessories, assorted hose adapters, 1 2.5-inch folded tank gooseneck, 5 McLeods, 4, it's a plan almost, 4 collapsible brush rakes, 2 triangle head hoe picks, 4 TFT 1 3/4 automatic nozzles, 4 airbag pads, and 1 Olmatro hydraulic power unit.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So that's the list of all them, so.
So I move that we add them to the list of surplus.
I second the motion,
Any other discussion? Call a vote?
Yes.
yes.
Yes, so that's all surplus equipment.
And lastly, but not least, most important is a group of citizens have been actively trying to find out ways to notify and let people be aware of speed limits because of the crash that happened on Hawaii Road back in the summer. It's caused, people being very concerned about that. And the most recent thing is that we have, that was created, was a magnetic sticker for your car that says, slow down and enjoy Monterey. There, I have some out here, a few to give away, but they have actually, they're finding ways to give them away as also the group.
Okay.
So, which is, I forget what they call themselves, the
Traffic safety work group,
Traffic Safety Work Group. Yep.
not an official town.
They are an
body.
ad hoc group of citizens with a concern about speed and safety on the streets of Monterey. So get your, I put one on mine. The only thing I noticed is that in trying to find where to put it, my bumper is plastic, so it's not gonna
There's
go
a
on your
lot
bumper.
of plastic on the
I know.
car these
Yes.
days.
I know. So anyway, that's it for me.
All right, any unanticipated business?
I got 2.
Yeah.
One is good news. So Lindsay got back to me. She can definitely pull together the policies in her book and check for consistency. She thinks
Okay.
that process will probably only take a few hours. She said the only thing that's likely to take longer would be going back over all the finalized policies to just check for errors.
Yeah.
And, so
What about accepting input from various departments and employees?
I didn't think to ask that. I'm willing to do that because I wanna
Okay.
see what they say.
Okay.
After all of this, I really wanna know.
No, I always thought that we would make the final decisions, but I thought maybe she could gather
Bring that, let's see.
and then bring to us.
I didn't ask.
Now, do we need a contract? Because last time they were very,
Oh, that's right.
last time they said, our contract's up, we can't work for you.
Okay.
I don't
so
need a
will-
contract.
I will ask about.
They're a government
But they
body.
might need a
They're a
contract.
quasi-government
Right, so
body,
I will ask if they need a contract.
but if they need a contract,
Okay.
now, I apologize too if you ever run into Lindsay, her email went to my spam folder.
Oh, no.
So
Whoops.
sorry about that.
Okay, the second thing, completely unrelated, first thing is that I got a call from Mike, Jermaine, who I guess Hillary wasn't sure, despite having talked with Roger, that we were on board with her going ahead with a full-blown NOI. And there was a question as to whether Emily should also be involved.
Can we start?
Yes. I don't know where that came from.
So I know where it came from because the Conservation Commission loved Emily Stockman's
Okay,
proposal for Lake Buell for their drawdown. And that got brought up at our meeting about Lake Garfield, how much they
Right.
loved her proposal for
right.
Lake Buell. So there's a feeling that we'd have a better chance should Emily also be involved. My understanding was she's pretty busy. Maybe it's a slow time of year for wetland scientists.
That was what I
So,
think Mike said,
the
that it
one
might
thing
be
you
a
have to
year time.
Drill into them,
Right, it's.
less dash. We got less money for dash.
Right.
And I think it's what we gotta do, but we have to say, we're gonna do that new NLI. Yes, Emily can be involved if she has time, that'd be great. She knows a lot about Monterey and wetlands and everything. And also, less money for dash. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right, we just can't do it. So can you just
Sure.
pop Hillary a
Yep.
note and say, we're happy to have Emily involved.
Yep.
She has the time, but we're not gonna have the money for expensive dash. I mean, you know,
I'll include all of them.
the realistic downside of that is we're gonna end up reaching for the chemicals, because there's gonna be no way to keep this contained with 2 years of 3-foot drawdown and a budget that we have if we cut the dash. Like, I just don't think it's
I
realistic.
do think sometimes there's alarmist
Attitude.
attitude. And back in 2005, they were supposed to do 2 3-foot drawdowns and a 6-foot, and alternate 2 3-foots and a 6-foot. And I don't know how much it happened exactly to a T. I do remember around that time, the lake would be kind of at different levels every winter.
Mhm.
And the sandbar would be this visible or that visible.
Mhm.
Their 3-foot drawdowns back then seemed deeper than our 3-foot drawdown last winter.
Right.
Maybe it was a different 3 feet, different measuring stick, but,
Starts at 6
you know,
inches.
the lake survived.
Okay. So let's.
I don't know.
Let's plan, hope for the best. Right.
All this stuff is just more money. We're gonna spend more money
Yeah.
on permitting than actually taking care of the lake.
I
but-
agree.
It's ridiculous.
Hopefully the permit, once granted, will last a while. I don't know.
It's supposed to last, what, 10 years? So you could just follow up.
Yep, I'll
Thanks.
email you.
Okay, that's all I have.
What was the first thing you were?
The Lindsay. making
Yes,
the
okay,
policy
great,
statement, but you plan on it together.
Well, only if they need it. I don't think we need it.
If they need a contract.
But, but neither do I. Minutes, can we do some minutes? I think we just have September 16 and October 14, which basically brings us up to speed, except that one conservation meeting where we each said a sentence or two that we'll need to generate minutes for. We will do, we're behind on that one, but I don't feel terrible about it, even though it wasn't really a full meeting. So.
What minutes are we doing?
9:16 and 10:14.
Yeah, he just sent out the 9/16 with the executive.
The executive session, right? I didn't have any comments on it.
My only, I gotta reword the voting. I know it says by unanimous roll call vote, and then you can look at who was at the meeting and say Justin
Right.
voted, Susan voted,
Right.
Frank, they all voted yes. But I think I'm just gonna reword it, Roger, to Justin, yes, Susan, yes, Frank, yes.
On the executive session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're really particular about that one thing for whatever reason.
Fine. Yep.
And then I gotta add some documents used at the meeting,
Right,
okay? And what I'm gonna do, Roger, is I'm gonna make those little changes and send it to you, the approved.
Yep.
Version.
I'll move we, approve the minutes of 9/16/25, including the executive session as amended
With roll call
with
votes
roll call vote.
and documents.
Yes.
Any other?
Second motion.
All right, we'll call a vote on September 8th.
Yes.
Yes,
And yes, so that's approved. And,
What was the other one?
October 14th, I do have some edits.
we had the date, we had 8/11.
Oh.
What was that?
So this,
10/14.
10/14, the date is under the document, but it said 8/11.
Where, I actually had changes to this one. Did it not get saved?
I think your changes, Susan.
I just didn't, apparently when I saved it with my changes, I didn't remember.
This was 10/11.
Yes, you didn't, yes. I noticed that as
10/14.
well.
Usually I
Usually
do,
you put
because
S.
remember that a few times in the past, I would change a document and and I'd send it out and it would be the unchanged one and it was driving me crazy, so I started just always resending it with a different name because it was making me nuts. Okay, so I didn't decide, okay, cool.
So Susan had some really pretty minor changes.
Yeah, no, I had.
I clarified when we hired Don Peck, it's 3 weeks of vacation per year offered to him at start. Not like, oh, he gets 3 weeks off the start, that's just a chunk of 3 weeks, and then he accrues at the regular rate, right? We're offering 3 per year.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Okay, I clarified that. I'm just double checking to see if I didn't add. Oh, Susan asked, did we do the community center program manager?
Wait, did we vote to do this?
And I added in this wording, a motion was made, seconded, and carried unanimously to designate the community center program manager position special municipal employee status.
Okay.
I changed the heading of the minutes thing to just say minutes instead of listing individual ones. And then for documents used in the meeting, I added transfer station fee sheet, personnel policies, and Southern Berkshire ambulance and housing regulation comment letters.
Okay. I move we approve the minutes of 10/14/25 as amended.
I second the motion.
Call vote,
Yes.
Yes.
And you'll send those,
I'll send that to you.
Woot.
and I'll work on those,
Oh,
the Concom ones and the 24th, 28th, and 12th.
Tonight,
tonight,
oh, and tonight.
And tonight.
and tonight. I was like, tonight, too.
I'll start the process.
There you go. Writing a note to yourself to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Any comments and questions from the public?
I don't think so.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Oh, second.
Call vote,
Yes.
yes, meeting adjourned at 8:08 PM.
Only 10 more, guys, we're nearly there.
10 more what?